See, we're very excited about our guest today. Our listeners may remember.
Was that an accent? Did you start with an accent?
I don't know. I'm very psyched up. So I'm getting very formal here. You're right. I got a little formal.
You did get formal.
Our listeners may remember her and her pixelated torso from her time as Meredith on The Office.
That's amazing.
Or any of her other wonderful credits, or you might have seen her on tour or Dancing with the Stars. We are delighted to have Kate Flannery here. Hey, Kate.
Hey, thanks for mentioning.
Kate, what's up?
Appreciate that. Things are good. You know, I got all my clothes on. Sorry, but
yeah,
I'm here.
We're waiting for the blurred background and foreground on this one, but you know, we've been trying to get you on this podcast for a while, so thank you. Finally,
yes,
we're all here together. What a career you've had, and we have a lot of questions for you. So
yes, but and applause for being as busy as you are. That's wonderful. Being busy.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's this year has been incredible. I don't even know how it happened, but I was busier than I've been in years.
Well, just tell us about this year. Let's just start there, and we can kind of go backwards from there. So, what have you been doing this year that's been taking up all your time?
I get to tour with Jane Lynch. We actually did 2 tours. We were supposed to do 3. One got there's a few things that have been affected by COVID, but
sure,
like we've kind of thread the needle. But we have a Christmas album, so we always do a Christmas tour. So that one,
yeah,
oh my God, yeah,
that's awesome.
Our Swinging Little Christmas, that was just fantastic. And our last place to play was Philadelphia, so it was great.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's always, and literally my 7th grade teacher came to the show. It's crazy.
Wonderful.
My answer to everybody starting out in this business, like, don't be a douche, because you will see people again. So I'm just saying.
They come back around
100%.
And they love to tell stories about the people that they taught.
They don't forget. They don't forget.
No, they sure don't.
So how did this show come together with Jane? How that transpired?
We've been sung together for years. We started, actually, I the first time I ever went to Second City, Jane was understudying. A few years later, I became her understudy. We did a show together called the Real Life Brady Bunch that was like, it was an early 90s phenomenon. And then we sang together in sketch shows, and then we started to sing together at benefits. And I remember, like, we became, award show buddies, because I'd see her at, the Glee would be nominated when The Office was nominated. We had a few crossover years. And so when both of our shows ended, she was asked to do a cabaret show in New York. She's like, I don't have a cabaret show, so I'm going to do this. So she asked me. And of course I said yes. We have the best band, and we sing with the Tony Guerrero Quintet, and they're incredible. These jazz.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's not a hostage situation, is what I'm telling you. It's really fun.
So, but like, when you were forming that show, what came first? We were like, okay, these are the songs we want to sing, or these are the bits we want to do, or is it all music? Like, how?
Some bits, some songs. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. I can't give it all away, or else I have to kill you.
Sure.
But it is it's an interesting process, and we had our music, the vocal guy that came in to join us, Tim Davis, he did all the vocal arrangements on Glee. So I feel like things kind of like stepped up from that too vocally. So I feel like Jane was asking me to do things like I've never, like, I usually don't sing without a wig on. Like, I'm singing it. I also have a comedy lounge act called The Lampshades I've been doing for 20 years. And that's like, when you sing with a wig on, when you're doing a character, the world is forgiving, but.
Right.
So yeah, it's just been a labor of love. And then we got to do this Christmas album in 2016, and it was on the Billboard Top 10 for a couple of weeks at number 8. So
wow,
it afforded us this like contractual obligation to spend December together for the rest of our lives.
You're like the new Mannheim Steamroller, basically, is what you're saying.
Kind of. We're definitely steamrolling. We're definitely steamrolling. But in 2018, we have a non-Christmas show too. We've had a few of them, and the second incarnation, Two Lost Souls, we got to do at the Carlisle in New York, which is a big, it's a big deal. It's a feather in the cap for sure. You get to stay there.
Yeah.
Breakfast is included in the super fancy breakfast. It's included.
Come on. Is it continental or full though? That's the real question.
It is full there. Everyone is in they're practically wearing like British Guard suits. I don't know what they're wearing. The fanciest waiters you've ever seen in your life.
Amazing. Wow.
So are you still doing that show for this year?
Yes, we actually were supposed to do shows last month here in Costa Mesa and Beverly Hills, but everything got pushed. The numbers everything was just.
All right. Well, where can they find information about that? Let's just
go to janelynchofficial.com. That's always the best.
Okay, sure. Jane Lynch Official. Okay.
What about Kate Flannery Official? I'm just asking.
Yeah, come on, Kate.
I know I got to get off my rear end and do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Well, Wikipedia is a wonderful tool, and obviously, people know you from The Office. But what I loved learning more about you is not just the breadth of what, like the expanse of what you've done, that people can see, but like I can tell your work ethic and your creativity and your ability to like fill a blank page and fill a black box. That like, so I want to know, I know you're from Philadelphia, from Ardmore, right? Is that right?
Yep.
So
I'm born in Mount Airy, but we moved to Ardmore when I was 7. So yeah.
Right. Not just down the street from Lower Merion, where LA people know Kobe Bryant is.
That's right. I actually talked to Kobe about it before he died. Oh my gosh, I know.
Oh,
my first dance recital in his high school, obviously long before he was in high school.
So what about your upbringing led you to going to college? Like where did it bite you?
You know what? I wanted to be a kid actor, and my mom was like, you know what? I mean, I'm so grateful for her just protection, because I don't think it's even like overprotection. I think it's appropriate protection. I think a lot of kids who want to be actors, like, ooh, it's not the greatest, and that's all I wanted. And I sang in like a nightclub when I was 15. I had loved it, and then I actually got hired in a dinner theater when I was a senior in high school, and my mom let me do the show, but which I kind of felt like, kind of like a kid actor, because I got to leave after 4th period on Wednesdays because I had a matinee. So it was kind of my senior year. But but I'm grateful for the holdback for sure. And then I studied theater in college. I went to Shenandoah Conservatory for 2 years, and then I transferred to University of the Arts in Philadelphia on South Broad Street. I graduated from there. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like I kind of always wanted to do this. Wasn't sure exactly. I mean, I always wanted to be in a comedy. I always wanted to be in a comedy that had a fantastic long run and a great finale. And so I'm really lucky.
So were you like, as a kid though, was it TV that got you into it? Was it theater that you attended?
Too, and theater too. I loved it all. I loved it. I was like obsessed with like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers and Shirley Temple. Like I watched all the old musicals. I actually have done a bunch of stuff for Turner Classic Movies. I've actually like used my powers for good because I have all this information in my head. And I used to wait on a lot of old movie stars and directors in the late 90s and early 2000s. Right before I got The Office, I was still waiting on all those people my first season of The Office, because I didn't quit my job until season 2. So sure. Waiting on Billy Wilder and Ann Miller and Esther Williams, and oh my God, just like
where was that?
Beverly Hills.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
nice.
yeah. I mean, I always like I went to school in New York, and my fondest experiences of living in New York usually were around the time that I was working at restaurants, and like there's something about that, and I think as an artist, especially someone like yourself that creates characters, and character building is such a big part of what you do.
Yeah.
What better place to find characters than in restaurants? Like
my dad owned a bar growing up, so I believe me, the well was there from the beginning.
Oh, for sure.
That drank with the guys.
Yeah.
I've known Meredith for years. I've waited on Meredith for years. I know a lot of Merediths,
Yeah. So when you get back to Philly and you were at the university there, you really were your next move was Chicago, is that right?
Yeah, my aunt sent me a ticket. She lived in Chicago. She thought Second City would be a good fit. So after I graduated, I saved up money, and then I auditioned for the training center there, got in, didn't move right away because I still needed a little more money. But I feel like there's so many people who are very well known now that I came up through the ranks. Like
Andy, for sure.
Yeah, Andy Richter was in my second improv class. We always talk about it, like, oh my God.
Right.
But of course, like I said, Jane was on stage the first time I went to Second City. Stephen Colbert was there when I was there. Steve Carell, Amy Sedaris, John Favreau was actually the host. He couldn't even get. We used to do improv together for Olympic, and we worked at the Annoyance Theater together. But he, for some reason, could not get an onstage job at Second City.
Wow.
So then he just makes the stuff. So
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's not doing too bad. He's okay right now. So Kate, I just had a question. Like with Second City, how did that work? Was it almost a schooling type of thing where you guys had classes and you
didn't necessarily have to go to the training center to be hired by them? I just went because there were great teachers, and a lot of the teachers were directors there, and I just was like, I was a newbie, and I had a little bit of improv in college, but nothing like that. And I also studied with Del Close an improv Olympic, and Del was total, pioneer in improv and total guru, amazing. Didn't really like the women that much, so he was tough to study with, but I still got a lot from him. And
because women aren't funny, I guess, right? Is that what he?
That was that's what they were saying back in the day. Yeah,
a bunch of dummies. Yeah.
But and then I remember getting hired in the touring company at Second City. It was I guess it was a few months later, I was actually up for SNL, but didn't get it. And I was up for SNL because of the show I was doing at the Annoyance Theater with Jill Soloway was directing. Jill, who's now Joey Soloway from the show Transparent.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had some really fun stuff together. And the Really Brady Bunch was Joey and Faith Soloway's concept, like two sisters. Well, they were sisters, siblings.
Right. Sure.
Yeah,
right.
It's so there's so many people that, again, I'm so proud to have come up through the ranks with, and in many respects, I remember going back for the 50th anniversary of Second City and thinking, oh my God, there's so many people that I feel like are funnier than I am. How come they aren't on TV? Like, how did I get so lucky? But I think a lot of it too is just being persistent and really just like giving yourself the opportunity to continue the dream. And I think a lot of people find ways to take themselves out of the game, no matter how talented they are.
Well, yeah, there's there's so many reasons. There's so many doors that you have to not just knock on, but like put your shoulder into.
But hold on, Brad, because what we talked about right before she got on, piggybacking on what you just said, Kate, was, when you do have a certain degree of success, sometimes the fire gets stifled a little bit because you get comfortable and you don't have to do those things anymore. So that statement that you just made shows me your drive and how you don't stop doing things that you love to do. So what is that? What is that in you that keeps going?
I think there's I'm a little bit of a cockroach. I may not be the funniest person in the room, but I am professional and I will get the job done. So I feel like, and I know that. So I think, the whole, like, what do they say? Like, comparison is the thief of joy. Like, try not to compare yourself to other people. Because even on The Office, I felt like I was kind of in my own lane. I did a lot of my own, like, I did a lot of physical comedy. Like, I didn't always talk, and I would still get laughs. And a lot of storylines were pretty physical, which is a little scary if you grew up Catholic and you don't want to be naked on TV. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I loved that, I didn't have to count lines when I got the script. I didn't have to worry about that. And the whole thing. I mean, actors get like, I need to talk more. Sometimes you don't need to talk, sometimes less really is more. And I'm just glad, like, if I was in my 20s, I may have been stupid and spoken up and be like, wait a minute. But luckily I was 40 at The Office. So I was smart enough to keep my mouth shut and just be like, you know what, why don't we just trust and see what happens? And, it was always worth the wait when I spoke and when I did have a storyline. And I just feel like there's something to be said for just accepting what you're part of and seeing what is, as opposed to putting on our wants. And, I don't know, I think patience and, like, having some faith in the process is an important thing.
Do you think you learned that from doing a lot of ensemble stuff? I mean, growing,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I suffer from, like, if I had douchier, representation, if my agent was more of a crazy junkyard dog, maybe I would be doing more things, but I don't know. I also kind of feel like there's a stealthy thing that happens. And, like, I mean, this year I got to do, a great episode of Magnum PI in Hawaii, which was so fun.
Come on.
Amazing.
A blast, total blast.
Right.
I love Tom Selleck.
I'll tell Jay Hernandez you said that. I'm
sorry.
They're a really great cast, and but also, like, and then I got to do an independent film in Alaska, and Jane Lynch and I just happened to be playing Fairbanks and Anchorage a week before this movie. Like, it didn't make any sense. Like, my life is kind of crazy, but there is.
Well, it's rare that when you have multiple opportunities, they work together. Like, yes. But it was interesting when you're talking about, like, counting lines and whatnot. I was thinking about your improv background, where you don't necessarily have lines. You're just looking for opportunities, and like it. So you're not that. having that, and once you got to the office, maybe you didn't approach each script like a script. It was more just like, hey, we're all in the room together. We'll see what happens.
We didn't improvise. No, the show was very scripted. I mean, occasionally you get to improvise a little bit, but only what I learned was the most successful is if you improvise within your lines. So you don't just like start talking if you're not really talking in the scene, or you don't take
You don't try to draw focus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you have to support the story. And
of course,
our writers were so terrific that you could really trust that, like, they didn't need you. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it was great. It was great if you did, but
right.
You know, literally the show would go on if you didn't. And also, I always felt like the writers were so great that it's like they laid the bricks, they laid the carpet, they have a brass band waiting for you to walk down. And if you take a couple extra steps or you do a cartwheel, people go, "Oh my God!" It's like, no, we were all headed in that direction. I just took a couple extra steps. You know,
amazing.
Right.
So when with touring with Second City, when did you decide it was time to move to LA?
You know what? I think I was offered the tour of the Real Life Brady Bunch, and I took a leave of absence from Second City. So I thought I was just going to go back, and I thought I was only going to do 6 months of the tour, but we were opening the show at the Kennedy Center, and we did like 7 weeks there, which was just nuts.
Wow.
It was just, yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then I think we did like 5 other cities, and we ended in Boston. And then I wasn't going to go back. And then that was the year of the earthquake. It was 94.
94, yeah.
Northridge. And I didn't live here then. I was going to move to LA from Chicago, like probably in February. And then I got a call saying that someone, like their family member got injured during the earthquake. So she couldn't take over the part that she was supposed to take over my part. And so I ended up going back in, and I thought it was only going to be for a few weeks. And I ended up doing the whole rest of the 6 months. So I was literally on tour for a year.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. But the second part of the tour, we were on a tour bus. We were actually on an old rock and roll bus, the old Allman
bus.
The old Allman Brothers bus. How did it smell?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. I was like, this is before the internet. I mean, really, we had like Sonic the Hedgehog and like a blacklight painting in the back of the bus.
Beautiful.
You know, there was no internet, so all we really had to kind of connect us was like CNN and payphones. Like, that was it.
Yeah,
so,
right.
You know, what happened in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, stayed in Slippery Rock. But you know, it's like we had a good time. We really had fun.
Oh yeah, that's the best time before you leave a trail.
It's so true. Anna Gasteyer was on that tour. So funny.
Oh
so
man.
I know.
How did you like being on the road?
I actually really liked it. And it's so weird because in the last few years touring with Jane Lynch, we've actually gotten to play a lot of the same places. And then of course, when I did Dancing with the Stars, and I ended up doing a lot of the tour. I did half of most of their tour.
Wow.
Which is crazy because like I was 55. I'm like, oh my God, I shouldn't even be dancing. I'm like, what the hell? And I didn't win. So I'm like, why am I doing all the, anyway,
hey,
but they asked me to do 54 of the 80 shows. And then of course, everything got shut down. So I think I did 45 of my 50, you know, so yeah, I did actually most of the tour, and it was really fun. I got to do a comedy monologue at the top and do my dances. And a lot of the places, like I even got to host at Radio City, got to do my monologue. I mean, you know, 6,000 people.
This is during this is during Dancing with the Stars. You were opening with a monologue?
Afterwards. Yeah, when we did the tour. So
love that.
The TV show and then the tour.
Yeah, sure.
And that's also on a bus, but I got the bedroom in the back. So
yeah, baby. Kate Flannery is the road warrior, man.
Amazing. Well, you know what? I think I just booked. I think the tour is coming through Modesto. I live in Sacramento at the Modesto, and I think my kids, we've never watched Dancing with the Stars. We went from So You Think You Can Dance. They did the same tour, so we went to that, and I was like, Dancing with the Stars. The kids were really into it this year, so I think we're going to see the tour.
It's a great show. It's a great show. I'm actually going to see it in a couple of weeks. I've been following them a little bit on Instagram, and it's
But I'm elated that that they're not just allowing, but encouraging the stars' other talents to come out and make it a show. Yeah, that's really cool.
It was really fun. Like I really felt like it was it felt like even like I said, even though I didn't win, I felt like I won because of that. Because I was like, whoa, and the fans were just, you know, they were amazing. I mean, I don't think we played a house that was smaller than 2,500 people. I mean, it's
crazy.
And you were literally like, you generally are in every city only one night. So we were only in a hotel one night a week, which is nuts.
Well,
Jane, even though we were on a bus for a month, we still slept in hotels every night. We just got up early, you know, and slept.
Yeah. But I mean, so those 45 shows, you were on the road the whole time. Were there any breaks?
No, I was supposed to have a 2-week break because I was supposed to go to South by Southwest with a movie, and then everything fell apart and we never went back. So but it's funny because I was just talking, there's a lot of the same crew, and I was like, you guys, I never even got to say goodbye. And like, here it is 2 years later. So I'm going to go see them. And like I said, next month, I can't wait to see them.
That is so cool.
That's awesome.
His wife won this past year. She's amazing, Daniela.
Oh yeah. So when you got off of the Brady Bunch tour, then you ended up in LA?
Yes. Actually, I was in New York for 6 months, and then I got asked to do a stage production of the movie Valley of the Dolls in LA with a lot of the Brady Bunch people, like the original people. And so I knew it was going to be treated well. And so I moved to LA for like a year, and then the show ended up going off Broadway. So I came to New York.
Wow.
We did Valley of the Dolls at the Circle in the Square. We only ran for 5 months, but we had great reviews, and it was a total cult. You know, it was one of those things where I feel like it's pre-YouTube. It was very Rocky Horror, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Yes.
Call and response. It was like this movie really had a cult following. So when we did a stage production of it, they were equally like as invested.
So it's interesting because I was looking at your time in LA, and I know you did a 2-person Saturday night show, right? The Lampshades, right?
Yeah, that's my comedy act I've been doing for years. It's like a dining lounge act, and we've hosted a ton of comedy festivals, stand-up shows, even though we're technically not stand-up.
So it wasn't born in LA. It lived before LA.
Yeah, we did a little bit in Chicago, just a little bit. It really got set. Like I did the character by myself a little bit in New York. Because I ended up being in New York for like 3 years. After Valley of the Dolls, when it closed, I ended up staying for a few years. And I remember coming back, and then so I was waiting tables and doing the Lampshades when I got The Office. That's
right.
I stopped doing it. Yeah.
But hearing about how those years pre-Office were truly filled with incredible creative endeavors.
Yes.
But like that must have felt really full, and yet. Yes. And yet probably not as well. And also I want to talk about how The Office started, and I don't want to ask anything too strange, but the ensemble cast, you guys weren't guests, you weren't contract or you weren't series regulars.
First season and a half, we were technically not. Yeah. So that's why I kept my restaurant job, because I was
right.
Like, no, this is going to happen. So I remember covering my shifts during the weekend. I worked my Sunday brunch, and then like the show started to air, and I was back, because the first season's only 6 episodes. So
yeah.
Went back. I remember like the directors would come in, and some of the producers would come in and be like, "Oh, I didn't know you worked here," and so just so crazy,
so weird.
But then it would start airing, and I remember some of the regulars were complaining because they said they had lousy service on, when the show was on, because all the waiters were like running up to the TV.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, when you were auditioning for that, I'm like, obviously you knew some of the people involved already. What was that like?
I knew Steve. Well, I actually did not book the pilot. I auditioned for the pilot. I auditioned for Jan, didn't get it. Allison Jones said, "I still feel like you're right for the show." So I didn't do the pilot. I ended up replacing somebody from the pilot. So I guess they shot the pilot in February, and then I auditioned in late August.
Wow.
And then we went like right away in September. It was just like right after Labor Day. We just did the whole thing. And I knew Angela Kinsey. We were in an improv group together called Bitch Planet, an all women improv group.
Amazing.
That's amazing. What a name.
I know, right?
I love marketing. I could market that like nobody's business right now.
There was like a thing where they, photoshopped our faces and all these like astronaut helmets. So
that's amazing. I'm going to check bitchplanet.com right now. Just so you know.
I don't even think it's a Facebook page, you guys. Back then, yeah.
Right, MySpace, yeah. But when you book that, I mean, like coming off of all the work that you've done, was it just like, oh, cool, well, this will fit in, or this?
What's gonna happen? Yeah, I mean, I had no idea, and also like it was right when Friends ended, and the only reason why we got a shot was because Joey, the sequel to Friends, wasn't doing great. The spinoff was not doing great. It just
right.
So we didn't do great either, but they were like, okay, well, we can pair this. They remember they paired us with My Name is Earl, and they thought My Name is Earl was supposed to be the big breakout hit.
Right. Oh, that was Monday nights, right?
Actually, it was Tuesday, and then they moved it to Thursday. Yeah.
Oh, Tuesday to Thursday.
And we end up doing the, back on the Must-See TV.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Sure.
So that was kind of crazy. But I will say, like, you don't know. I mean, I had no idea. And I feel like what I still say to myself as an actor is like, you might have something set for the year, but like, you still have to figure out how to make money every year.
So Kate, you're an idea woman.
I am, although I will say I do. I'm such a perfectionist, so I feel like I hold myself back. I need to. Some people are all chutzpah and like
Right.
I feel like I'm kind of a perfectionist, and it gets in my way. I think yeah.
Interesting. Well, because when somebody is as motivated as you and does all these different things, it doesn't seem you're relying on one thing, right? You have so many other things going, which this is what all actors and actresses should follow is this. You should be always busy, If
you're inclined, if you have the personality for it, because I also feel like if you don't like people, don't, put yourself in a position where people are going to be stopping you and saying, I love you. Like, don't do it. Like,
right.
Don't rain on everybody else's parade because you don't have that gene, or you can't figure that piece out.
That's true.
Well, I mean, do you think it was just how you're like, I know you said in the first couple of years, you weren't sure it was gonna last. And so that, kept you in the mind of, okay, what else am I going to do if this doesn't last?
Right.
Did you ever get comfortable? Is that in your nature? Or even when it was in years 4, 5, 6, 7, when you guys were, flourishing, did you allow yourself to just like enjoy being on a TV show, or were you still in your off time?
I was still doing my comedy act, because to me that was like I was doing it every week for 5 years. And then I think we just did the first Saturday of the month after that. So after 5 years of working in the office, I was like, oh, I think I can like open myself up to other stuff, rather than like this every Saturday commitment. But that's also like, I realized like that was also my social time too, because I did that show. We would do the lampshades on Saturday nights. And when I was single, I was like, I don't need to be on a date because I've got a gig every Saturday.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So crazy. But I met my boyfriend on the show. So he's like, I don't think you need to do this. I was like, you're right. It's fine. I don't need to.
That's crazy that you did it every week still for 5 years while you're doing The Office.
I know. I enjoyed it though, and again, it's like when you're doing your own act, it's like you're the editor, you're the writer, you're the star, you're the producer, it's like all that stuff. And we've gotten to play with a lot of other really fun music acts and a lot of stand-up comedy. I mean, there's people I've met through the years. Like we used to do shows with like Patton Oswalt and Sarah Silverman, Mary Lynn Reich,
awesome,
Mark Merritt, and Bob Odenkirk. I mean, there's people I've known for years, like who are like, hey, it's just whatever. I mean, Bobcat Goldthwait. There's really, really, really funny people. Dana Gould. I mean, and I kind of kept it up for a while. Up until the pandemic, we actually did one lampshade show last February. It was a drive-in show. Which was really fun. It was at a cemetery, the Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale. So people honked when they, instead of laughing. It was so surreal. But
what is it about LA? Is there just like that? Like because what is that movie that they do that in the Hollywood Forever
Cemetery? Yeah, they do movie screening. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, what is it about graveyards in LA that just makes us want to do stuff there? I don't know.
All a bunch of heathens.
That's it. Just no respect for the dead, really.
The devil, right? Clearly.
Right. You know what's funny is you mentioned Rocky Horror, and my daughter she's 18. She's an artist, like animation and anime, and she loves Rocky Horror Show, right? Yeah. Because I used to go in high school, and I was trying to find a place for her to go see it live. Yeah. And then I found one place, and they're like, you can't throw rice, you can't throw anything. There will be no shouting from your seat. I'm like, well, then I'm not going. I know. So it's like, that's the lost art. But what reminded me was because, all the comics, well, not all, like Bert Kreischer was the guy who kind of started doing the drive-ins for comedy first. And he said it was so strange because he'd have guest comics, and then they're like, they didn't hear anything. So their act was actually 20 minutes faster than normal. Because they didn't hear any laughs. They just kept
pause for laugh. Yeah.
I totally get it. Your timing is totally screwed.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's insane. I know. I have to say, like, that was the nice thing about going back out in September with Jane Lynch. We were in Seattle and then Alaska, and I was like, oh my God, like this is like it's this little window. Like we got through this door. This is available again. And then our Christmas tour was great. It was like so fantastic. And I mean, I feel really lucky, and I don't take any of it for granted, because I realize, like, you know, something can happen and they can say, okay, everything's shut down again for a month. So whatever.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
just gotta enjoy it while we can. Ugh.
Yeah.
So as The Office progressed and you guys, maybe you started to feel a natural end or whatever, like, you know, you're then approaching, I'm curious about it, because I left our show, and once you start, frankly, making a certain amount for your work, the way you approach, like, you're less inclined to do something that doesn't, you know, like you're chasing opportunities that have to match what you're used to, versus like just doing anything for the love of it sometimes. And so like,
I looked at it more as an opportunity where I felt like I have a chunk of money, so I can do stuff that maybe doesn't pay that well. I did a bunch of indie films first couple of years, because I got to go to Sundance the first year, and like the next year I was at the Toronto Film Festival, and Tribeca had a couple of films. So I looked at it like, okay, this is, you know, because it's difficult. I mean, obviously, like, it's hard for anybody when they get older in this town, but even when, you know, especially women, like it's just tough, you know. So
sure.
I feel like I never had that sort of like indignant, like, well, where's my next show, you know, and
sure.
maybe I should have, I don't know, but you know, it's a tough phenomenon, you know. I mean, you hope it's going to come, but also when you become very recognizable with one thing, that can also get in your way a little bit too, you know.
Well, but then you get opportunities like Dancing with the Stars, which is a cool opportunity out of that notoriety for sure, right?
Totally. And I was like, are you kidding? I was like, they don't really want, I thought it was just a favor. Like sometimes I go through meetings where I'm like, oh, they're just checking the box. Like they don't really want me. And then they were like, they really wanted me. I was like, are you crazy? Like, I don't know if I could, you know, I don't know. It was just nuts.
Well, and then Melora Hardin this year.
Yes. And I remember going to see Melora. She did the show Chicago in New York like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Than that. Yeah. And so she was actually a dancer, but she hadn't danced in a while. And yeah, she did great. She did really well.
Yeah. So I mean, they're going through the alumna. That's great.
That's right.
I mean, so Angela's next. I mean, who's next, right? I mean,
I don't know. We'll see. I was like, every week I had people from the office came to cheer me on. So
it's awesome.
Angela came.
That's amazing.
Or maybe Brian. Yeah. Maybe Brian should be next.
I don't hold your breath. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's probably making too much on Cameo. From what I hear, he is.
Right? Yes. Yeah. I'm doing okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining.
More than all of us combined.
I will say that's another thing. Cameo is like, people have this thing about like Cameo. But you know, let me tell you something. When people ask you to do a video for a family member who's dying, I mean, like I've had a bunch of those, and I'm going to tell you, it's a tremendous responsibility to remember that when you do something, it touches people that you don't know. And also, what a great opportunity to have the courage to be like, yeah, I know this is happening. And that's what she said. Like, it's like, we get to laugh, and this is part of life. And people use comedy, literally, like laughter is medicine. So like, it's an honor to be part of that. So I feel like to reject that is, you know, I mean, again, I feel like it's my responsibility to give back in that respect.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like, you know, we obviously we all enjoy an audience, but an audience of one is a very unique thing to be in. Like I being, you know, I'm sure you've been in audience rooms where it feels like an audience of one. And yet you still have to do your, whatever you're doing. But gosh, that audience of one for Cameo, it is a unique opportunity to express humanity, to be creative enough to find a lane in there. If it's, as you said, if there's a moment where there's a tragedy or some sort of, you know, challenge, like there is not to pat ourselves on the back, but I'm just saying, like, it is a unique opportunity.
Well, yeah. And I think the only thing weird about it is that, I mean, it's a weird monetization of your time. It's very odd in that respect, but you know, like there's a lot of people with like who are turning 21 who want Meredith to wish them like a 20, you're 21, woo! You know, it's like,
sure.
yeah.
Wow, you had that really close.
That was really close.
I know, right?
She didn't know who we were, so she was ready to just drink the whole time. Bradford.
I always have my Dundee.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
So it's, you know, I mean, but I guess what I'm saying is like, I know that Brian takes cameo seriously. He takes in, and I think some people phone it in and you can tell, you know, it's like,
Oh, sure.
So, but I get it, you know, and then, I mean, I feel like, and I'm always sort of like with these new things that come out, like, is this going to go away? Does this, you know, it's kind of like the MySpace, Facebook. It's like MySpace is like, my boyfriend and I like communicated initially on MySpace. It's like, have this fondness about MySpace.
Is your boyfriend Tom from MySpace?
No, he's not.
Okay.
No,
He looks great in t-shirts.
That's hilarious. My boyfriend was a set photographer on The Office. He's an NBC photographer. So
Amazing.
I met him on set, and we didn't start dating till the end of season 2 during the hiatus. And then, you know, he actually got to dance with Meredith during Dwight and Angela's wedding. He actually was a photographer in the scene in the finale where they reveal Pam's mural. He had a couple lines. So
Amazing.
They put us together like when Michael Scott and Dwight are dancing during the credits of the finale. I'm dancing with this tall dude with a red face. And that's my boyfriend, Chris.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Well, we're gonna be aware of your time. I just wanted to ask you this because, you know, obviously you've done so many different things: musicals, comedy, sitcoms, movies, independent films. And I know it's hard to always pick your favorite genre or which one, because there's great things about all of them individually.
Right.
But which one would you say fulfills you the most?
Yeah, which one do you still crave to do?
Well, I love to sing with Jane Lynch. We have
Awesome.
a very specific energy that is like, it's so special. And I feel, and we both take it really seriously. I mean, there's a lot of comedy in it, but the singing can be difficult and we don't mess around. Like, I mean, luckily there's the comedy parachute, because it's like, if it really fell apart, the audience would be like, oh, but they're always like pleasantly surprised when it's actually like, oh my gosh, they can really, you know, but also in that way that like, I feel like sometimes singers can be hostage takers. So that's why I feel like we're not whatever, but I do feel like, but I am proud of like the creativity that's involved in it, and the spontaneity and just the musicianship, because the guys we work with, they're so talented, they're so funny, they're so self-deprecating, and I feel like it's just an art form that I just feel like just an honor to be part of it. And we've actually played the Kennedy Center as well, and you know, and we're hoping we're hoping more people will see it next year. We'll you know, whatever. I mean, but even if they don't, like, it doesn't matter. It's really just it's really like being in the moment, which is
and there's something about the live audience that you can't even
absolutely
can't even,
you know,
it's the greatest thing in the world.
like the world sort of opened up again.
Awesome.
Way. And you know, it's funny because I kind of do a lot of talk shows, and a lot of them were in this living room like last year.
Right.
So I did Seth Meyers, I did Kelly Clarkson in my living room. It's bizarre.
Amazing.
So weird.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Weird.
Just one question, you know, you seem like a truly expert collaborator. What, you know, and as from these two guys that do a duo comedy show, what advice and what do you think is that key ingredient that makes either your comedy collaboration with Jane, or in terms of that, what is the magic ingredient?
Being supportive, and also like, but also helping set up your partner or to pay off. Like if there's something that they're doing that's not quite over the line, and you can help push it over the line. But it's also like that it's the whole that counts. It's not, you don't count laughs. You don't compare each other's laughs. It's not a contest, you know, I mean,
right.
And I mean, and it's easy to say that, but it's also like, because also if they get a laugh, that's, you know, that's on you too. Like we can all celebrate. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes people are very weird about collaborating, and it's complicated. It's really complicated. But I also think, it's like whatever you're doing has got to be more important than the two individuals, you know, like your show.
Love that.
That piece has got to be important. And I feel like that was really what Steve Carell proved on The Office. Like every day he he made sure that we all knew that the show was the star, not him, which is kind of not true. But what it did was it gave everybody the spirit of like, okay, we're no one's going to be a diva. If he's not being a diva, I can't be a diva because he's a guy.
Right.
And all the heavy lifting. And, it was just, he was just a great model and a great teacher. And also just being super professional, like, don't just be on time, be a little early, like just all those little things really matter. And the spirit with which you do them. And even if it's a pain in the ass for you, like nobody wants to hear it.
Right.
It's generally like it's a champagne problem, and there's hundreds of people, if not thousands, who would kill to be in your position. I mean, even you guys, like what you do, you get to do what you love to do, and a lot of people don't, or they used to and can't find their way back. So it's like there's I think gratitude is important.
100%.
And also just like if there's some other psychological game going on between you guys, like see if you can work it out. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a counseling session or like, I love you, man, but whatever it is, it's like, just, because it's not easy. It's not easy. And there's so many subtleties. Like I watched, I don't know if you guys watched that movie about Oliver Hardy and Stan Laurel from it was the John C. Reilly, Steve Coogan movie about Laurel.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Dude,
I didn't see it.
Everybody I ever know, like I know a lot of people that have been in 2-person acts, and they're like, whoa, because like some of my 2-person friends acts have broken up, and some of them had like weird, because it's like being in a sexless marriage. It's tough, But like
not all of them are sexless. Let me tell you.
I
might be some.
Sorry,
no.
but but it was like, but like there were some things that came out, some dark side to that, where you go, okay, all right. So it kind of makes you feel like, okay, well, this is like part of the journey. Like sometimes there's some dark shit that happens, and there's some people that like don't know themselves. And if you're working with somebody that doesn't really know themselves, to try to call them out on something all the time, like that doesn't necessarily work. Like if they like to eat before a show, like bring them some food, like whatever you need, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever it is, like, oh, I got some extra food, I mean, like that, just a simple thing where it's like, you can be in the solution without shaming the other person. And and again, to like support what you guys are doing, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It's amazing for us to be doing what we love to do. We are so grateful just to be out there and just that people come and see us. We're just grateful for that.
And it's awesome that you guys are podcasting, because I feel like there's a lot of people that want to, I know there's a lot of podcasts out there, but you guys know what you're doing. It's not, you don't just have a microphone,
Thank you.
You can say that now, maybe.
Yeah, say it.
But it's true. You know what I mean? You've heard, I mean, God,
yes.
I've had like somebody listen to my podcast. I'm like, this isn't a podcast. This like feels like C-SPAN for the internet. Like, what is this?
Right.
You just leave the camera. Like, is this just a security camera? Like, I don't know what's happening.
That's amazing. Oh gosh.
I mean, whatever. It's like you actually engage people, and you guys are obviously really passionate about what you do, and it shows. And I just feel like as long as we can keep feeding that part, because these are the weirdest times, and we don't know what next year or the year, like 2 years
tomorrow.
Like it's true, or a month, or tomorrow.
Yeah,
you
tomorrow.
You got kids, like carpe diem. Just try to enjoy what we can when we can, and
love it.
And also, like just give yourself a break. It's like I mean, but it's like, okay, I'm never going to be perfect. I don't even know what perfect is, but I just have to accept where I am, and hopefully wake up the next day. And if I don't feel good, like do what I can to feel better, and just go, okay, all right, welcome to the human race.
Well, listen,
and always carry a bottle of Jamesons.
Right?
That's right. I am going to the school of Kate Flannery.
That's
and
right.
I'm starting a MySpace page today.
All right. One last question.
Oh
One last question before we get out of here. You're from Philly.
Yes.
You lived in Chicago.
Yes.
You've spent a lot of time in New York.
Yes. I live in New York.
In LA.
Yes.
What's the best?
I cannot pick one. I cannot. I'm telling you, I cannot.
Yeah.
I mean, today's always the best day, so I'll pick LA for today. But
there you go.
I'm going back to Philly soon, so whatever. I don't feel like the New York I lived in is not quite the same. I moved in '99, so I feel like
Yeah,
it's changed
yeah.
much.
You got to
Chicago's changed
reacquaint.
much.
Yeah, you got to learn again. Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean, there's changes, but hopefully, wherever you go, there you are. Whatever.
Amazing.
That's right.
Life
I love
lessons
it.
and Jamesons with Kate Flannery.
Right?
Yeah.
I think we found our title.
You're so
Kate,
thank you so much, really. And
Oh, awesome. You're so awesome. I
maybe
love
maybe I'll see you on the road. We'll see if the
Yeah.
landscape get back on the road, and maybe we'll see you at a club.
So much fun.
That'd be
amazing.
amazing.
Well,
thank you, Kate.
good luck
We
with everything
appreciate
this
you so
year,
much.
and thank you so much for taking the time. We truly
Wait,
appreciate
Kate,
it.
where can
Yes.
everyone find besides Jane Lynch official?
At the real Kate Flannery on Instagram,
Okay.
at Kate Flannery on Twitter. I'm barely on Facebook though. I'm on Facebook, but I feel like I haven't go.
Well, because you're
That's
cool.
all right.
It's because I'm just too exhausted. There's too many opinions thrown at me. I'm sorry.
That's true.
I only have 24 hours in a day. Sorry.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's
All
true.
right. Well,
All right, Kate,
thank
have
you
an
so
awesome
much.
day.
I might be on Twitch soon, so tell your kids.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Do you play video games? Is that what Twitch is?
We'll see. Yeah.
What?
Okay.
I know. So say that's just a maybe.
Okay.
All right. Stay tuned, everyone.
Okay,
Stay
Kate.
tuned. All right.
Awesome.
All right. Be
Thank
well.
you,
Thank you,
Kate.
Kate.
The best. Take care.
Appreciate you.
All right,
Thanks.
bye-bye.